Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Make It Known with Mal. I'm your host, Mal, and today I have an amazing guest. This is my friend. We've been friends since high school, and her name is Ashley Artman. She's married now. From Health Made Simple, and she's just going to talk to us a little bit about like nutrition and just a bunch of stuff that is very interesting, and I'm going to learn a lot. I know that for sure, because even with some of the questions I'm going to ask, I'm going to learn a lot. So hopefully you will too. So without further ado, Ashley, just tell us really quickly who you are.
Hi, I am Ashley Artman. I have researched loads and went down this journey because there was a lot of things that were wrong with me, as far as medically and mentally, I guess. And so I kind of started down this road when I felt like I couldn't live the life I was living anymore and needed to kind of correct. I had, do you want me to go into my story? Because I can do that.
Sure. Go ahead and go into your story.
Awesome. So January 2019, I had a load of things wrong with me, but everyone makes a New Year's resolution, right? And my New Year's resolution was simply to be healthier. And that was it. I had no like, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to start working out, or I'm going to start eating salads every day. Like, it wasn't anything concrete. And I think that's part of what might have helped me down this journey. But as of January 2019, I'm just going to list the things that were wrong with me. I have been diagnosed with spinal stenosis, which I was diagnosed without an MRI, but it basically, you know how there are nerves that come out of these little spine holes in your spine?
Yes.
So what was explained to me is that those nerve holes were clamping down.
1 second. We lost you. We can't hear you.
For me.
Okay, wait. Sorry. Pause 2 seconds. We can't hear you. Last thing we heard was something was clamping down.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's better now.
Okay. Those nerve holes were clamping down on those nerves and making it feel like I could not walk.
Oh my God.
And I remember stopping on the way up a wheelchair ramp, which logically speaking should be very easy to walk for a normal person, and had to stop halfway up that wheelchair ramp to catch my breath because my legs felt like they could not walk any further. Like the muscles were weak, which I knew was false because I could walk. It just felt impossible. So I was being treated by a chiropractor for that, and the chiropractor is the one that diagnosed me. But it was diagnosed without an MRI, so we don't know like 100% that that's what was going on. But my symptoms lined up with the diagnosis. So there's that, and then my blood pressure was in hypertension stage 1 for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Not requiring medication. The doctors never did anything about that, and I'm not sure why. But
yeah, that's a little weird.
Yeah. I also had acid reflux that required medication since I was 20. Depression requiring medication since I was 18. I have had daily headaches since I was 16. And I had kind of just learned to live with that. And it was when the weather was changing that it got really bad, but the headaches were just constantly there. And then I am, and have been a diabetic since I was 10. And my A1C was too high. So.
And wait, really quick, explain what an A1C is.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So it measures your blood glucose over time. So the A1C is on a scale of like 4 to 15 or something. I don't know what the top number is. But if you're lower than 4, I don't even want to guess about that. I know me because I'm a diabetic. And 7 is considered good for a diabetic. So, and it measures over time. That means it's an average of like 160 for your blood glucose. I hope that's making sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but my A1C was too high as of January 2019, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but I would say it if I did. But the spinal stenosis is kind of the last thing that led me to think something's got to change, because I did not want to be 23 years old and struggling to walk when I felt like I could fix it.
Yeah.
That was hard. So I started researching, and my research first came across environmental toxins. And environmental toxins are things that are in the air, in your cleaning supplies. It could be pollution. It could be the plastic bags we use, or cleaning supplies like bleach and laundry detergent and things like that. And started coming across these words like fragrance and phthalates and parabens. And these are kind of big buzzwords now.
Mm-hmm.
But started coming across all of those. And so I decided to basically overhaul cleaning supplies first, because environmental toxins is what led me there. And
wait, sorry, pause 2 seconds. So say it was spinal
stenosis.
Spinal stenosis was caused by environmental toxins.
I don't know that for sure. I think everything kind of built up together.
Okay.
And so there's some theory behind, and I don't know this for sure. I am not a medical doctor. Don't take this as medical advice. But there's some theory that you start taking one medication and it covers one symptom up, and then your body is still telling you something is wrong, and another symptom shows up and the doctor prescribes another thing. And then another symptom shows up and the doctor will prescribe another thing. And so there's some theory behind that. And I don't know this for sure, but I feel like part of that was because of part of me getting the spinal stenosis was because of that. And any medical doctors listening probably would know way more than I would.
Yeah. But I think also using logic, I mean, that makes sense though, because I mean, you don't have to be like a medical like doctor to, I don't know, that logically flows in my head, but yeah.
Right. And it did for me too, which is why I started just kind of, I don't even know what led me to environmental toxins, but I just started researching and came across these words, toxins, and this word fragrance and phthalates and parabens. And I was like, okay, let me look at what I'm using. And so I overhauled cleaning supplies and currently use Branch Basics for that. And have since I did it.
So Branch Basics is the brand, a cleaning supplies brand.
Right. It's a cleaning supplies brand. If you or any of your followers are interested, I have a discount code. Discount link. I have a discount link.
Okay, and I'll leave that in the description. So, remind me. Okay. I'll make a note of that.
Okay. And I don't remember what the amount is off of it, but it's either like 10% or $10. I can't remember. Okay. But then I did that, and then started coming across more things about cosmetic toxins, and found Beauty Counter, sort of. I found the company as a like toxin-free option, but somebody I knew was already a consultant for them. Mary Scott, if you remember, we went to high school with her.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So she's a consultant for them, and so I reached out to her and asked her, hey, can I try some of these products? And she was like, yeah, sure, and sent me samples in the mail, and I tried them, and they were great. And I was like, okay. And I was stupid and completely overhauled my products all at the same time, which I don't recommend anyone do because that is very, very expensive. And
wait, when you said that, you mean you just bought everything that was toxin free? You were just like, look, gimme.
Basically, yes. Okay. I jumped first I jumped on board as a consultant to get it cheaper.
Got it.
Because as a consultant, you get 25% off. And so I was like, okay, well, I'm going to do that if I'm going to overhaul everything. And so I jumped on board as a consultant. overhauled everything and spent a lot of money. What I would recommend people do is when they run out of stuff to just replace that product, not like all at the same time like I did. I did mine all at the same time and gave away everything I was using. So it was a lot. But I did that, and then I came across knowledge about food toxins and glyphosate, which is the ingredient in Roundup that is used on our food. And it's been shown to disrupt your microbiome. There's a study on it. So
wait, sorry. Microbiome, explain that really quick.
Your microbiome is basically the bacteria in your gut. And your gut is full of, I can't remember the exact amount, so I'm just going to guess, but it's like 5 to 7 pounds of bacteria in your gut. Mm-hmm. And there's good bacteria and bad bacteria. So glyphosate, hold on a second, my battery's dying.
It's okay.
Glyphosate is shown to kill the good bacteria.
Okay.
And when the bad bacteria take over, you start getting things like autoimmune diseases and other chronic diseases and stuff like that. And so I started buying organic produce.
Sorry, really quick. So glyphosate would be in produce items, basically, is what you're saying.
It's in a lot. It's in produce. It's in oatmeal is one of the highest sprayed with glyphosate.
It's one of those things like GMOs. Is it a GMO?
No, it's a pesticide.
Oh, the pesticide. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the GMOs have been shown to do the same thing. So I've been trying to eat no GMOs, as little glyphosate as I can, and by buying organically, I do that. I do buy most of it organically, most of my food organically, but the Environmental Working Group comes out with a list every year that lets you know, like, it's got a dirty dozen and a clean 15.
Environmental Working Group. I'm writing that down.
Yes. It's got a dirty dozen and a clean 15. And the clean 15 is what you are fine to buy normal. You don't have to buy organic. The dirty dozen is the highest sprayed. So it's really interesting.
This episode stresses me out. Okay, keep going.
I overhauled everything. And my cleaning, my cosmetics, my food. And as of April, I think I'm looking at like a timeline. As of April, my daily headaches were gone.
Wow. Okay.
Was incredible because I had them since I was 16, so I'd had them for 7 years straight at that point. And they were never, unless the weather was changing and there was like a tornado, they were never like migraine level, but they were still irritating enough.
Right.
That I'd seen a doctor about it.
Yeah. Oh, you even seen a doctor. Okay.
Yeah. And he had told me to take an aspirin and it'll go away.
Okay.
That was it. And that was when I was 18. And I hated that. And so I want to say that's kind of what kind of started my journey initially, but I didn't like take another step until I was 23.
Okay.
So, and then in March of 2019, I started working out, and that was great.
Yeah.
And then in April of 2019, I started seeing a naturopath, which is a functional medicine doctor. You need to find a good one because there are ones out there that are not. And unfortunately, the one that I saw was not great.
I've heard positive and negative stories about naturopaths.
Yeah. So this one is kind of both. Because there's a lot of stuff that went into it. So he ran some blood work, and also had me do a food sensitivity test. And the blood work came back. He did it more extensively than I've ever had a doctor ever run blood work.
That is one of the positives. So I've been to a naturopath before, and that is one of the they do way more than what a doctor would do.
Yeah, for sure. And everything came back kind of like what I was expecting, except for, it's called CRP, C-reactive protein cardiac. And it measures the inflammation around your heart. For a normal person, that number is between 0 and 3. My number came back at 36.57.
Oh my God.
Which was insane, and that indicated a likely cardiac event in my future.
Oh my God. Which
obviously crushed me, and I was terrified and thinking I'm going to have a heart attack any day now. And that was really scary. So I started researching the test itself, and the LabCorp website, which is where I got this test done, had said that any result above a 10 needs to be retested.
Okay.
So
okay.
I contacted my naturopath about this, questioned the test, and therefore the diagnosis, I guess. And he responded to me very sarcastically, telling me that he's like, should I not trust any test then? And I was like, that's not what I'm saying. Like, I wanted him to retest it, basically.
Yeah.
But he acted like I was questioning his entire lifestyle and his entire being by questioning that one test. And I didn't like that.
Pause 2 seconds. One thing I love and I want to commend and I want to like point out is that you did research and you stood up for yourself, because I feel like a lot of times, I mean, not even like with regular doctors, we do this with regular doctors, we do this with whoever is in charge, whoever knows more than us, because, you know, sometimes they do. We just kind of, oh, okay, well, they say X, Y, and Z, and you just go with it. But I think it's really good that you advocated for yourself and you did your own research. And I'm not saying that for him, I'm not saying that he isn't intelligent. I'm not saying that he's not smart or he's not right, but it's really important to do that, to like do research and to see, because at the end of the day, you're the only one who, like, it affects you the most, and you're the only one who can really stand up for yourself. Like, no one cares about you as much as you do.
Yeah, I completely agree, and thank you. But all that to say, I stopped seeing him after that.
Yeah,
but that was after 4 months of already seeing him.
Oh, okay.
So, because this had been like all encompassing, like scared out of my mind about my heart for like 4 months at that point. And so my stress level was crazy high.
And probably wasn't good on your heart.
No, probably not. But so I no longer saw him, but at that point I had been seeing him weekly, and he had me on like 4 different supplements and a powder, like trying to get this down. And I had been he put me on something called a Candida diet, but a really strict version of it, which basically made me just eat vegetables. And that was it, vegetables, and I was allowed to eat chicken.
Interesting, and not fish.
Well, I might have been able to eat fish. I can't remember.
Okay, because usually it's like they say eat fish over chicken. But anyway, keep going.
I think it was like I was allowed to eat chicken and seafood. Well, part of the problem was my food sensitivity test came back, and I had a sensitivity to all meat except for chicken and seafood. Oh,
interesting.
So, yeah, and I didn't like chicken all that. I still don't. I don't like chicken. It's always weirded me out, but that's just a personal preference. But so I think it was chicken, seafood, and all veggies. All non-starchy veggies were allowed. So, and no fruit. Which was killing me. But as a diabetic, this whole like no starchy veggies, just eating like zucchini noodles and avocados, I didn't give insulin for like 3 days because I didn't have to. I wasn't eating any carbs at all.
Is that good or bad?
That's weird.
Okay.
I don't want to say it's good or bad, because if you completely cut out carbs, you're completely cutting out something that is essential to the human body.
Right.
And you can't do that sustainably for very long.
That's why they say low carb instead of no carbs, I feel like.
Right. Kind of.
Okay.
When you cut out, I don't know, when people cut out carbs, they tend to lose weight very fast. But then they also gain that weight back very fast when they start eating normally again, because it's just not sustainable long term.
Mm-hmm.
So when people do the low carb diets, they don't tend to work long term. That's not without outliers, but that's what tends to happen. But he had me on that. I lost 7 pounds in a week.
Wow.
But I also almost collapsed. So because I apparently have an allergy to all kinds of nuts as well. And so I couldn't have any nuts. And like, I was eating no carbs, hardly any calories. I was struggling to get to 1300. Like, it was not the best. And I did it for like a week and a half. And that was it. And then I went back to him the next week and told him, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I am struggling too hard and I almost collapsed and this isn't working. So I didn't. But at that point, by the time I stopped seeing him, I'd probably spent like $4,000 in 4 months, and fell down what I consider a money pit.
Oh my goodness.
I felt like at the end of it, I was going to a naturopath that was taking advantage of my situation. And that's not to say I was not inflamed. I was very much inflamed. And I know that for sure. Because, and I've got a picture on my Instagram that I can show you.
I posted one of the days that I promote your episode. Yeah.
Okay. But you can see it in my legs and I haven't lost any weight. Well, I've lost, I guess at that point I'd lost like 7 pounds, but it wasn't significant enough for the difference that you see in the picture. So, but my ankles get poofy and my arms get poofy whenever I am inflamed. That's because my body is retaining that water and the toxins and like everything that I am putting that is bad into my body. So yeah, so he helped me realize I am thankful for that experience, but I would not send anybody to him.
Yeah.
Basically.
And that is like, you know, in the future, in my head, I am wealthy with a wealthy husband and our 8 children. We're all living in this nice house and we are able to go to like, I like the natural idea, like going to natural doctors, going to like a natural dentist, things like that. But so I'm not opposed to those. My biggest thing is, unfortunately, there is not as, because insurance, they don't take insurance, and B, there isn't a, like, they don't have as much regulation. It's always a concern, like, who you go to.
Yeah.
Always. And it's always so expensive. Like, that is, so when I went to a nutritionist, I don't even remember like how the conversation came up, but she looked me in the face. She said, at the end of the day, like, these things are expensive because insurance only covers you when you're sick. They don't cover you trying to prevent your sickness. So when you go to a nutritionist, if you go to a naturopath, dietitians are usually attached to the hospitals, so those are usually covered by insurance. If you do all that stuff, it's going to be extra money and it's not as regulated. It's not as there's not as much accountability. Once again, I'm not against it. Like I said, like, you know, in the future, in the little rich life I'm imagining, I would like to go to a reputable one that I think but yeah, that's always the biggest thing, and they're always so expensive. That's the tough part about it, because, you know, and this is just a side, then we can get back to your story, but I'm just thinking about, I'm sure there's so many people who are in tight money situations that probably need those type of tests, but the doctor doesn't run those tests and they don't know that they need the test. So you would have to go to a naturopath to run the test, but initial fee is always like expensive, and you don't
it was like
going
$300.
Right. And some people
Yeah.
just don't have that extra specifically for something like this because and maybe you can talk about this later, but like one of the biggest problems with things like this is you don't feel the effects of poor nutrition instantly. So you don't necessarily, it's not any, most people, it's not their top priority until it needs to be.
Right.
But yeah, okay.
Yeah,
Carry on
that's
your
what
story.
I wish that it was more affordable, but they have to charge so much because they're not getting anything from insurance either.
Right.
So yeah. But I was gonna say Mary Scott sees a naturopath here in Charlotte that is also a medical doctor.
Oh, nice.
And I believe she does take insurance because she's got her MD. Okay. So I can try to find her name again, but I don't know it off the top of my head. So yeah, so back to my story.
Yeah, sorry, back to your story.
No, you're good. In May of 2019, this was while I was seeing that naturopath, we went to a strawberry festival in Fort Mill, South Carolina, and happened to stop by Greater Life Chiropractic, which is a different chiropractor than I was seeing before for the spinal stenosis. And they had a tool that scanned your neck and scanned for basically inflammation where the muscles were like inflamed. And so they had colors. It was like white is you're not inflamed at all, and then it's like green, blue, yellow, red, black. And my neck was completely black, all of it. And they were like, you need to come in and see us. I was like, okay.
We have some concerns.
Yeah. They're like, have you been to a chiropractor before? I was like, yeah, I see a chiropractor every month. And they're like, okay, what do you have? And like, they started talking to me, trying to figure out what was wrong with me when I was sitting right there in the heat in May. And I told them about spinal stenosis, and they're like, have you had an MRI to get diagnosed? And I was like, no. And he looks at me, he goes, you can't be diagnosed with spinal stenosis without an MRI. So that chiropractor has told you something that might be right, but it's not necessarily your diagnosis. And I was like, oh. And so I went and switched chiropractors and saw them and did the initial consult, which they have 2 different tools that they measure, and they basically bring them all the way down your spine. And one of them measures the inflammation in your muscles. The other one is the position of your bones, and they also take x-rays, which is way more than my other chiropractor ever did. And so when they take the x-ray, they can see if you've got any I'm not a chiropractor, I don't know how to say words. Subluxations.
Okay. Everyone listening, you can just look it up. Continue.
Yep. It basically means if a bone is tilted, from what I understand, within your spine. And if a bone is tilted, then those nerves in your spine are not working correctly, and they're firing off things that are inaccurate, essentially. Okay. Or could be, not necessarily that they are, but they could be. And so I started actually researching what a chiropractor is and does, and they have their doctorate and like all of that stuff. And people always call chiropractors like quacks.
I was gonna say that is I was gonna ask you about that, or mention that. I guess that is definitely something that I've heard, and I have never gone to a chiropractor. My ex-boyfriend went religiously, and he was very much into it. He was always trying to convince me to go. I went and sat during an appointment once and like almost had a panic attack. The cracking stuff, and they do your neck, and I'm always freaking out because like, if you sneeze the wrong way, then like, oh, you're paralyzed. So like that stuff scares me. But I mean, people that I know that go speak very highly of it.
Yeah. So the research that I did, and there may be chiropractors that are not this way, but it was from, I'm going to throw out a year. I don't know if off the top of my head, I don't have that written down, but I think it's from like 2010 on. Chiropractors have to have their doctorate.
Oh, that's good.
So as long as you're going to one that has their doctorate, you'll definitely be better off. But
Yeah.
and then on top of that, this is based on Google research, and I didn't look very far into this. I just looked at a couple of graphs and websites. But from what I understand, chiropractors have to do all of the same schooling as normal doctors do. But they're like clinical residency and stuff, they have different requirements there.
Okay.
So that is my understanding of it, but I'm not a chiropractor and I've not been to school for it. So, and I don't have a desire to do that.
Me neither.
Yep.
Continue.
So I went and did their initial consult, and they set up a like year-long plan for me and for Caleb. And Caleb's my husband, by the way. And set up like a year-long plan, and if it's too expensive, then they'll work for you and extend the plan or cut down the number of visits. But they want you coming like 2 or 3 times a week for the first 4 weeks, and then it slowly cuts down. So at this point, I'm down to once every 2 weeks. But for a while it was a lot. So, and it has helped tremendously. The one I go to is a nervous system centered chiropractor, which is why they do everything that they did, and they don't just call themselves chiropractors. So there's that. I've also got like 6 studies that it works if anyone asks you about it.
So it's helped you with your inflammation. That's what you're saying.
My spinal stenosis.
A spinal stenosis. Okay.
Yeah. It has significantly helped with that. It's gone.
Oh, wow.
I don't have a problem walking. We go for, so our mailbox in our neighborhood is in a central location, so it's not like right at the front of our house. And we go for a walk every day to go get it. And when the spinal stenosis was active, it was just impossible. And I was dying and completely like collapse on the bed when I get back and done. To the point that I'd stopped trying to even go to the mailbox, and Caleb would go on his own. So that, and then now I make it no problem, and it's great. So I would highly recommend a chiropractor, but I think everything else I was doing also went into the spinal stenosis disappearing. That wasn't just the chiropractor.
Right.
So in June, I stopped seeing the naturopath in July. But I'm kind of just going on like a timeline. In June, I started asking for substitution recommendations on my Instagram story for dairy, gluten, eggs, etc. And Aoife, who we went to high school with too, recommended I follow someone named Jenna. And so I started following her because she was 100% plant-based and did a lot of the substitutions. And so I responded to one of her polls in her Insta story, and she messaged me about Health Made Simple. And Health Made Simple was founded roughly 35 years ago. And initially it was just trying to get people education for simple solutions to be healthier. Now they have one of the solutions is called Juice Plus. And it was added 17 years ago. And so before I continue, I'm kind of going to explain what Juice Plus is. And it is whole food plant powders. So what the company does is they use these family farms, and they take vine ripened produce, which is important because fruit and veggies have their maximum nutrients when they're picked vine ripened and not before. Our food that we get in the grocery store is picked long before and left to ripen on a truck. So it's losing nutrients over time.
Interesting.
Duke actually did a study about that. And which is why, well, I'll just explain the study. They did a study, and within a couple of hours of it being picked, the food has lost a lot of its nutrients, and by 3 days after it's being picked, it's lost 50% of the nutrients that were once there. So what Juice Plus does is they pick them vine ripened, and then they flash freeze them. Well, they dehydrate them and then flash freeze them, and then grind them up into a powder and put them in a capsule. And so it keeps all of those antioxidants and phytonutrients and stuff like that that was in the fruit to begin with, because fruits and veggies are roughly like 80 to 90% water anyway. So yeah, and then there's 30 different varieties of fruits and veggies in the capsules. And then
so quick question about Health Made Simple. So Health Made Simple, is it like an MLM, or is it a like just a regular, like what is that one that's in the Garden Life, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Is it kind of like that, or is it what is
so Health Made Simple is a company by itself that I'm a part of, and then Juice Plus is an MLM that is one of the solutions.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it took me a while to figure that out.
So then Health Made Simple is just education, basically.
Right. And they go around and they teach in schools and conferences and stuff like that. And they just use Juice Plus as one of these solutions. It's not like something that is necessary. Not everybody has to take it. It's not like that, but it's one of the solutions. It's an easy way to get more fruits and veggies into your body, because the FDA recommends 9 to 13 servings of fruits and veggies every day, right? But the average American, it's like 91% of Americans don't get that.
Yeah.
And so the Juice Plus capsules are just supposed to bridge that gap. They're not supposed to replace it, but they're just supposed to help you get there.
I like that.
And I did too, which is why I started taking it, because I was like, okay, well, more fruits and veggies, duh, why would I not do that?
Right.
And so I started taking it in July. And then I'm saying like a lot.
It's okay.
I'm just a really awkward person. It's fine.
No, you're fine. You're doing great. Like, this is, as I say all the time, like, I'm really learning a lot, but like, I'm literally like half of the stuff you said I've never heard before.
So yeah, I officially started Juice Plus in July. And then as of August 4th, I officially became pescatarian, which means I don't eat any meat other than seafood and fruits and vegetables and obviously all the other stuff.
Right.
But that was for 2 reasons. The first one being the allergies that I have to basically every meat except for chicken and seafood. And I don't like chicken. So it was just easier. It was easier to just call it and just be like, okay, I'm pescatarian, and just have people not ask questions. Then people would be like, okay, what do you eat, or what don't you eat? It's just easier to just say pescatarian. The animal cruelty side had always bothered me, so it was just a really easy decision for me to make. And then
but wait, quick question. So you don't eat eggs then, or you do eat eggs?
I rarely eat eggs. Eggs cause me severe acid reflux.
Wow.
To the point that it feels like my chest and my throat are burning.
Oh my.
And yeah, so I do not make eggs for myself, but I will eat them out or like at my parents' house or something. Won't eat them at home. So yeah. When I started taking Juice Plus and went pescatarian, I was instantly sleeping better. Which is crazy. But doing that, I think it's because I was eliminating food sensitivities and I was adding more fruits and veggies, and logically that just makes sense that you're going to sleep better. And so I jumped on board as a Juice Plus consultant, or distributor, whatever you want to call us. And in August, but the real changes for me didn't happen. The most significant changes didn't even happen until November. And initially I jumped on in August just to make it cheaper for Caleb and I, because why not? November comes, and I had been eliminating and reducing toxins from my life to the best of my ability for 8 months. At that point, I'd been seeing a chiropractor for 6 months at that point, the new chiropractor for 6 months at that point, and then I've been taking Juice Plus for 4 months. And as of November, the spinal stenosis was gone. The blood pressure was normal for the first time in 3 years.
That's really good.
That actually happened in September when I went to the doctor, and she took my blood pressure and she goes, "That's good." And I was like, "What?" And she was like, "It's good." I was like, "It hasn't been good." And she looked at it, she goes, "Oh yeah, that's really good." I was like, "Oh my gosh."
Oh, that's so good. Yay.
Freaking out. I was off of acid reflux medication completely. I was in the process of getting off of depression medication. Being on depression medication from the time I was 18 till I was 20, what was I at this point? 24?
Yeah, you're 25 this.
Yep, you're right.
Yeah.
This Wednesday.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, I looked at the time, I was like, this week.
Yep. Yeah, so I was 24 at that point. And I had been on it, what is that, 4, 5, 6 years. And so, and no doctor had ever tried to take me off or to, like, test it. I don't know. I guess when they put somebody on medication, it's kind of forever until they ask to come off. I don't know.
I think so, which is another point. Everybody try to be your own advocate. Try to speak up for yourself. Keep going.
I tried to cold turkey take myself off of it, which you are never supposed to do with depression medication, but I am a very aware person of my thoughts and why I'm thinking them and stuff like that. So because coming off of depression medication, people have said that it can make you suicidal, trying to cut off it cold turkey. So I was very aware of that.
Okay.
And I didn't have a problem with that. What I had a problem with going cold turkey was getting very, very dizzy. To the point where the room kind of felt like it was spinning, and I was like looking at it was just a mess. And so I put myself back on, and I tried to do that a couple of times before I finally had gotten to the point where I was taking it every other day. And then went to my doctor. I was like, I want to come off of this, but it won't let me. Like, how do I do this? And so he told me, he goes, "Okay, walk me through it. Like, what have you been doing?" And so I told him, he goes, "I think you should be good to just come off right now." And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to try it again." And he goes, "But if it doesn't work, here's what I'm going to do." And I just told him what I was going to do. And I was like, "I'm going to do once every 3 days. And then after like 2 to 3 weeks of that, then I'll come off." And so I did that. And by December, I was completely off the depression medication. And as well as my A1C, diabetic A1C, was trending down in the right direction and was lower than I had ever seen it.
Oh, wow. Yay.
Yeah. So I am positive that everything I did worked together, because when I started taking Juice Plus, if I still had like a high toxin load, I don't think it would have worked as fast. And going plant-based and all of that, just changing my entire lifestyle around. If I had not eliminated toxins first, my body still would have been overloaded with the toxins, and just eating more fruits and veggies wouldn't have worked. It would have worked, but not as well. That's my personal thought. That's my personal theory. And I think that food is a major, major part of it. But the toxins are also a major, major part of it, because things like deodorant have normal antiperspirants use aluminum as the antiperspirant.
I've heard of that.
And it's something like 90 to 99% of all breast cancer tumors have aluminum in them when it's tested. And you're putting aluminum in your armpit right next to that breast tissue. And there's theory from several doctors and various people that this aluminum is what is not causing but contributing to those breast cancer tumors and the breast cancer. So it's just stuff like that, like the toxins. There's multiple studies about fragrance and how it affects our asthma and allergies.
Fragrance, really quick. When I hear fragrance, I think of perfumes. Is that what you're referring to?
So fragrance, if you look on any lotion you have, any, not any, it depends on what you're using, but any lotion, perfume for sure, cleaning supplies, deodorant, just absolutely everything. If it has the word parfum, which PARFUM, or fragrance in it, then it's got that in it. And that fragrance word can be like 3,000 plus chemicals that companies do not have to disclose because it is the loophole. And that has been revealed to have carcinogens and phthalates and parabens and everything like that within that fragrance. Because companies within that fragrance word can do whatever they want to. And that is really scary.
Yes. These conversations, like I said earlier, really stress me out.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's part of why I overhauled everything, is because I started learning about these little ingredients that were in everything. And I was like, wow, like why are these companies why don't they have our safety at heart? And that bothered me.
Yeah. The money.
All about money.
Yeah.
Because that cheap fragrance is cheaper than essential oils. And which
is a good segue, but keep going.
Yes. But yeah, so it's cheaper than essential oils, and they've got it in bulk, and that's scary.
Yeah. Wait, is that the end of your story? Because I have 2 questions that I just thought of.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. Really quick though. Oh, are you saying something?
No.
Okay.
I was flipping a page. Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. Really quick though, go over, just say everything that you got rid of really quick. I just want to like harp on that, because I think that's the best and most important part of the story is you didn't have to, take a bunch of medicine. You just changed different things in your lifestyle. So just go over that one more time.
Okay. So I'm going to go over with what I had in January, and then I'll show the difference at the end.
Perfect.
So in January, I had spinal stenosis, and I was being treated by a chiropractor for that. Chiropractor that didn't totally know what he was doing, and then I had blood pressure and hypertension stage 1 for 3 years, acid reflux requiring medication since I was 20, depression requiring medication since I was 18, daily headaches since I was 16, and I've been a diabetic since I was 10. On top of that, and I don't even have this written down here, but on top of that, I had a kidney issue that I was put on medication for 5 years ago.
Oh my goodness.
That basically my kidneys weren't functioning right, and so I was put on medication to prevent any further damage from the diabetes. And talked to my doctor in September and asked her, I was like, okay, so kidneys are self-repairing, right? And I was like, is it possible that mine will repair themselves? And she goes, kidneys are self-repairing to an extent, but it is not likely that yours will repair themselves because the damage is done. Which was insane.
Yeah.
And then insane as in scary.
Yeah.
As of December 2019, so it took a full year, my spinal stenosis was gone. My blood pressure is normal. I'm off of acid reflux medication. I'm off of depression medication. My A1C is the lowest I've ever seen it. And on top of that, my kidneys are functioning completely normally.
Yay. Oh, these are
Yeah.
such good things. Oh, yes. So before I ask the other two questions, I want to say this, two things about the story. Number one is simple-ish lifestyle changes. So different things, to make, if you want to be better, you have to make a change. So it was lifestyle changes and like commitment to those lifestyle changes. And the second thing was it didn't happen overnight. It took about a year to get all of these things corrected. And I just think that for anyone listening, if you feel as if you might have a similar story or something like that, just remember that like it takes time. Like it's not gonna, tomorrow you're not gonna wake up and all of a sudden, your blood pressure is perfect. These things take time and it takes consistency. And so yeah, that's so great. That makes me so happy. Okay, so really quick, essential oils, can you just talk a little bit about those? I kind of sort of started getting into them. They smell like really, really good. And I bought, before the whole pandemic thing, I bought a little pack from Ross, and then for Christmas, I think my mom got me a diffuser randomly. So I do them like almost every day. And then the other day I woke up with a headache and I took philosophy of yoga. Shout out to Claire Diab. And she would always, every morning we would do like these little nose exercise, and then she'd give us essential oils. And she told us that
like the deep breathing thing.
Yeah.
Yes. I love that.
And then she told us if we put peppermint essential oil like on our right here, rub it, it gets rid of headaches. So now that I have the peppermint, I do, every time I get a headache, I do that. And I will say 9.6 times out of 10, it works. I'm sure that the time that it didn't, or it took longer to work, there was probably other things that affected it, but 9.6-ish times it worked. Then random story, kind of funny, not really. Then one day, like, I want to say it might have been Friday or Saturday, I actually got some of it in my eye, and oh gosh, that was so painful. Yeah. So painful, but I put a washcloth over it and then I was good. But
yeah.
peppermint
Oh man.
oil. But anyway, so talk a little bit about that. What are the benefits?
Okay.
Why is it so popular now?
So I'm gonna start back when I was like 16, or 18, I guess, when the doctor told me to take an aspirin for the headaches and it'll go away, and that was it. My grandma, weirdly enough, is a consultant for doTERRA.
Okay.
And doTERRA is a MLM for essential oils. Oh. And she was talking to my mom about it, and my mom knew I had been dealing with daily headaches. I really hadn't told very many people about it. But my mom had known that, and my mom used to deal with daily headaches too. So I don't know if that's like a genetic, I don't know what was going on there, but she got my mom to buy a peppermint essential oil from her. And that was it. That's all my mom ever bought. And it was fantastic. And I took it to college with me, and it works, like you said, not like 9.6 out of 10 times. And I think what I've determined is when it is sinus headaches, it doesn't work.
Okay.
Because that actually doesn't even have anything to do with your head. That's more like
right here,
your sinus areas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I have not figured out how to fix those yet. I don't get those very often because, weirdly enough, in Charlotte, I don't get allergies.
I'm the same way. I don't get allergies here. I go anywhere else for 2 or 3 weeks, I'll have them.
Yeah, same. I got them all the time in Texas when I was in college, but like in Charlotte, I don't get them. And what's weird enough is Caleb doesn't really get them here either. And he's from California, so he didn't even grow up here.
Oh, wow.
But I don't know, beats me. But I've started using essential oils more and more. The reason they're so popular is because I don't know a whole lot about essential oils, but I will try my best.
Okay.
From what I understand, like you take the lavender plant, and I don't understand how it works, but I have these like factories that it squeezes the oil. I don't know. This is gonna sound really stupid to anyone that does know it, but like squeezes the oil, and it like, that's what I understand about it. I don't know that for sure, but into this like teeny tiny bottle.
Okay.
And it's obviously not, that wouldn't be efficient doing it like that way, so they've got different ways of doing it, but it's like lavender is supposed to help promote sleep, and lavender and cedarwood and some other stuff are supposed to promote chamomile, supposed to promote sleep.
I have a little lavender pack thing in one of my teddy bears that I got from Build-A-Bear, and it helps with sleep. It smells really good.
And then peppermint helps with headaches.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a whole bunch of like, you could Google it or Pinterest it.
Lemon is good for energy. I do that if I know I'm gonna have a busy day. I'll just put lemon out.
Yeah,
you can kind of see it. My diffuser in the back, the brown thing, like on the shoulder. Yeah. Anyway, keep going.
But it's like, well, for example, last night I made, hold on, I'm opening it, this.
Okay.
Which you can't tell. But it is coconut oil that I mixed with lavender, bergamot, and cedarwood. And I haven't been sleeping real well kind of since the whole pandemic started. Mm-hmm. And I think it's a stress thing. And so I made that last night to try to help me. And I had Caleb rub it on my spine. I rubbed it on my chest and the bottom of my feet. And then I also put chamomile on my big toe, which sounds really weird, but I heard about it from a Instagrammer, so who knows?
Let's try
and it. I slept so well last night. Yeah, it was incredible. And I'll do it again tonight for sure. But I feel more rested today than I felt in at least a month.
Oh, wow.
So that's why I've been using essential oils. I love the smell of them. That and candles. Candles are highly toxic.
Okay.
Scratch that. Not all of them are highly toxic. When I was like 16 years old, I fell in love with the Bath and Body Works candles. And I would like load up every year, and from the time I was like 20 to 23, I was probably burning 3 to 4 of those a month.
Oh, wow.
It was a lot. And it was expensive. But from what I learned about candles have that fragrance in them too. And on top of that, lead wicks, I think it was in 2009, lead wicks were banned from the US. I want to say it was 2009, but don't take my word for that. They were banned in the US because when lead, I mean, we know about lead poisoning. Mm-hmm. It's, everybody knows about that. And that's why it was banned. But at the same time, current studies are finding that still it's like 30% of candles still contain some lead in that core wick.
Oh, wow.
And I don't know in reference to Bath & Body Works candles. I have no idea. But I know that Bath & Body Works candles also have, I'm calling them out, but it's like a lot of candles. It's not just them. It's a lot of them. Have paraffin wax in them. And paraffin wax is toxic when burned. It releases like benzoine. I don't know how to say these words, but toluene. I've done a lot of research, but I haven't actually heard anyone say them, so I don't know how to say it.
I mean, people can look it up.
Yep.
Found it out, and you can look it up.
Yeah. And those are carcinogens, which means cancer causing. Mm-hmm. And if people are sitting there inhaling these, that's horrible.
Yeah.
So if you are looking for a non-toxic candle and don't want to do essential oils, what you need to do is 100% soy wax or 100% beeswax. And a cotton wick and fragranced only with essential oils. And that is the only way you're going to find a non-toxic candle. Which is really unfortunate because a lot of those tend to be very expensive. Right.
But good stuff always is.
Yeah. But there are brands that are cheaper for sure. I can't think of any candles off the top of my head because I do essential oils, but there are
People can look it up. They can research it.
Yeah. Plus, if people want to follow me, on my most recent post, I have a candle post. I tagged a whole bunch of companies that I've researched before, but Heaven Sent Wellness is one of them. But I can't remember any of the other ones. But the essential oil companies, there's 4 that I trust. Because even essential oils, if you look on the back of like the ones that you can get in the Target dollar section, if it says cedarwood on the front, you turn it over and look at the ingredients on the back, and that fragrance word is in there, which means it's not 100%. Which means it's not 100% essential oil. But there are cheaper essential oils. Eden's Garden is the one that I used for a long time and still use. That is majority of what I have. And then
keep talking. I'm gonna look at mine real quick. Keep talking though.
Okay. Young Living and doTERRA. Those are both MLMs, but those are both ones that I trust. And then Plant Therapy is the other one, and Plant Therapy is available on Amazon. So.
Oh God, could you see how messy my bed was just then?
No.
Okay.
I think your chair was in the way.
Oh my God. Okay, so which one? The one I love the most is lemon. I don't think I've ever smelled a lemon like, I don't know, that's just the best smell ever.
Yeah.
And then
I love lemon and lime. Those are my 2 favorite.
Okay, I don't see a lime here. I'll have to look into a lime. Sorry, I'm like moving away from the mic. I have to look into a lime, but my second favorite is lavender. So I'm looking here. It says on the front, it says 100% pure. I'll just show it. Actually, no, because I don't know if brands get upset over this stuff. Let's see here. It's made in China. So no comment on that. Oh, it doesn't say. I guess it would be in the full, because it's like one of these little like packet thingies.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's on the other. It doesn't say the.
You could always, the brand, whatever it is, you could always look it up.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And see if it's online.
Okay.
Because there's, like I said, there's 4 brands that I completely trust, but it's not
the only ones.
Yeah. It's not exclusive. It's just the ones that I buy from.
And it says 100% pure. That kind of sort of means 100%, or you think you should still like look up and stuff like that? Look it up.
I would still look up.
Okay.
It's unfortunate, but a lot of what brands do is they do something called greenwashing, and they'll say like 100% natural, but per FDA guidelines, there is no regulation behind that word.
Okay.
It's really, really unfortunate because it makes you feel like you can't trust anyone.
Yeah.
And it's horrible.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
As a conspiracy theorist, these things are just like freaking me out a little bit, but that's okay. That's just fine. Keep going.
Yeah. Yeah, it's obviously not ideal.
Yeah.
There are a couple of brands as far as like cosmetics and cleaning supplies and stuff like that I trust, and I can name them if you want me to.
We can put it in the show notes because I feel like yeah, it'll probably be better in the show notes in the description. Just I'll make a note that you need to send me the brands you trust.
Okay, I will. I actually have like maybe it's a PDF. I can't remember what I did with it, but I feel like I have like a PDF of all of them that I used to hand out when I did like beauty counter parties. And I used to, as a parting gift, give them some samples and a list of brands that were good.
Okay.
So I'll send that to you, and I gotta see if I can find it first, but
Okay. Yeah,
I'll send
and
it to you.
I can put it in the show notes, and then I can maybe see if I can do one of those things where like you type your email and then it sends to your email if it's a PDF or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. All right. Let me see here. Last question before your make it known statement. So you talked about a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest thing is money, in the sense of like, I think that's everyone's biggest hesitation. That's everyone, for the most part, is that, I guess, is everyone's concern. Like, when you want to do the healthiest and the best thing, it's expensive. I remember when I really started being like super healthy and I would go to the grocery store, it would drive me up the wall two things. Everything that's healthy is like significantly more expensive than, like, organic anything is significantly more expensive than just regular.
Mm-hmm.
And then B, nothing is ever made for just a single person. Everything is like
Yeah.
people or more. But that's not the topic today. The topic today is expensive. So like, what are your thoughts on that? Because I know you're pretty money savvy. You're good with budgeting. So like, how can people do this lifestyle? How can people make these changes and try not to be and not have to like break the bank?
Okay. So the first thing I'll say, as far as that, is your health is your wealth. And in my opinion, our grocery budget is phenomenal compared to other people's. It's just what we choose to spend our money on, because we want, your health is your wealth, and if you spend money on quality stuff now, you won't spend it later paying hospital bills and medical bills and things like that. So that is one thing that I'll say, but there are ways to make it cheaper. Unfortunately, with all the healthy stuff, couponing is essentially out.
Yeah.
Because it's just, I don't know why. It's a broken system in my opinion. But there are companies like Thrive Market.
Oh, I've heard of them.
It's an online company, and they take percentages off of this healthy food and make it just a little bit cheaper for people. And that's great. You have to pay, it's like $59 a year. So it's like a Sam's Club membership. And you pay like $59 a year and you can get stuff a little bit cheaper. We get a box probably once every 2 months from them of like sustainable stuff that'll last a long time. Because, sorry, to my knowledge, I don't think they do produce. So the other thing is, if you're trying to buy produce and snack options at the same time, it will get very expensive for you. That's not easy to not do, but you have to kind of prioritize what snack options you want versus what produce you want, and just make a budget every week and make sure that you're staying under it. And that is way easier said than done, and I totally get that. The other thing is cosmetically, as far as makeup and skincare and stuff like that, there are companies that are cheaper. Beauty Counter, like I said, if you become a consultant, it's 25% off all the time, but it still is expensive even then. And I get that. There's a company called Coco Kind that is phenomenal, and it's cheaper. There are cheaper options that you can find, and some of them are on Amazon. It's just not these like big name companies that you hear all the time, and they're harder to find. But it's not impossible.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I hope that helps. The other thing, like, well, I'll just send the names of stuff. There's another company called Public Goods that is, we actually saw it on Facebook. It was a Facebook ad.
Oh.
And we signed up for it. It was like $100. It was a special they were running, but it was like $100 for a lifetime membership.
Oh, wow.
And they sell everything wholesale.
Oh, that's good.
It's phenomenal. This is back to food though. Oh. But food and shampoo and conditioner and stuff like that. So I used to use the Beauty Counter Volume and Shape shampoo and conditioner, and they discontinued it. So, and I couldn't find anything for a long time that was similar. I now use the Public Goods shampoo and conditioner, and it is $4.
You hear that, everybody?
So,
$4.
And it's phenomenal. And there's no fragrance. It's all clean ingredients. It's in a sugarcane bottle.
Aww,
so it is sustainable.
cute.
It's compostable. And it's fantastic. And I highly recommend that. Almost everything we've gotten from Public Goods has been good.
Okay.
There's a cookie that we've gotten that I don't like, but that might be personal preference. But yeah, so I hope that helps. There are some brands that try to make it easier.
Okay, yeah, that definitely, that was good. That was, and the tip you had about the snacks and stuff like that, that was good too, because I never thought of that. Because I think a lot of time people just go are like, okay, these are all the things I eat every single time I'm ever alive, so let me go get every single thing I've ever eaten, and that's my grocery list. When you can kind of like, balance it out or scarce out. Yeah, what I'm trying to say.
So what we do, it's an app. There's an app and a website called Plan to Eat, and on Black Friday it goes 50% off for the year, and then it becomes like $20. But you can import recipes from different websites and then drag them onto a calendar, all within this website. Drag them onto a calendar of where you're going to plan that meal for the week.
Ooh, nice. I'm gonna write this down too.
And then there's a shop tab, and so you customize like the date range that you want, and on the shop tab it'll tell you all the ingredients you need for the week based on the date range that you gave it. And then like you can just check stuff off and remove it for stuff you already have, like spices and stuff you don't need to buy every time, like that kind of thing. And when I'm doing that, I'll look at our pantry and see what we have. And so a lot of times the only thing that we need is produce, or like oats or something. But it's typically just produce, and it makes our grocery bill a lot cheaper. So, yeah.
Wow, that's really good. The biggest thing, and then you can say you make a note statement. I think the biggest thing I was thinking about, and the biggest thing I took away from this is, you have to be intentional. If you're going to make some life changes, you have to be intentional. And I'm doing that in my own personal life. Eventually I want to get to not in a negative way, but I do think it's an extreme, but in a positive way. Like I eventually want to get to where you are, with all the non-toxic chemicals and everything. And then I want to say it was either you or Aoife, like put vegetables into the sink and then put apple cider vinegar in there. And I saw that and I was like, oh my goodness, I should be doing that. Like, I didn't even think about that. Like, that's super good for you. Apple cider vinegar is disgusting, but like, it's really good for you. And I remember my mom, like I was drinking something. This is probably not a good story to tell, but I'll tell it anyway. I like didn't realize it, but I had this old water bottle and there was like a little bit of mold in it and a little spout. It was one of those Camelbacks, Camelbacks. Probably, and there was like, I didn't notice it. Or I don't know. I didn't notice it. My mom, she just, oh my goodness, what's going on? So every day she'd have me like drink like a cup of apple cider. She was like, well, we gotta get out of your system or whatever.
Yeah.
Disgusting. But I know that that's from that experience. I know that that's like good to get rid of toxins and things that you're not supposed to be ingesting. And so yeah, I want to get to that level. Like right now I'm just doing like the healthy eating and exercising, but eventually that is something I want to do. And I know that people probably think that some of the stuff, I'm thinking about some of the people that listen, like, yeah, some of the feedback I've gotten from people that listen. I know some people think it's probably too much, or like, oh, people have been living this way for so many years, or because I remember, I'm not going to get into the topic, but when I describe the topic, you will probably know what I'm talking about, but I don't want to say it right now. I had mentioned how there's certain things that I don't get yearly. And I remember one of my friends, oh my, like I can't believe it. And I was like, well, people before us, and like, well, people before us died, and you should be da 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 da. And like, I know a lot of people get all up in arms over these type of topics, but I do think that just because well, I think everybody's body is different. So yeah, maybe you, your grandmother, and your great grandmother, and your kids you guys don't develop any of these things. You guys are perfectly fine. You're healthy. You know, you live to be 98. Eat bacon every day, and never eat a vegetable or fruit. Okay, that's fine. Like, more power to you. That's great. But there's people who want to be different, that want to live their life differently because different things affect them differently. So I think these type of conversations, learning these lessons, are things that are important, because if you are struggling with, I'll just say, hypertension, as you can see, and you're taking medication for, as you can see, you can get off of it. And I think that should be everybody's goal. Any type of medication you're taking, you should be able to work to get off of it. That does not mean you just take yourself off of it. I want to clarify
don't do
that.
what I tried to do. That was
I want to clarify that. I'm not saying, you take like some medicine that's supposed to keep you alive, and then like, oh, I'll make it known with Mal, she said, we don't need to. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying the goal is to get off of it after speaking with your doctor and after following certain steps. And so I just want to add that little like aspect, like my opinion on the whole thing. I think that living a toxin-free, healthy, maybe not, the whole vegetarian, vegan thing, I'm not 100%, behind that.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily think that's terrible.
No, it's not.
Everything else, I'm 100% behind.
Yeah.
Essential oils, woo. But yeah, and then also too, I just want to add this little caveat. I mean, God did give us doctors, so there are things that you do need to see a doctor for, and I don't think that you should. There definitely has to be a balance. So if there's something, for example, go ahead.
Sorry, I had a comment. Sorry, I'm like sitting cross-legged on my bed, so I'm just gonna move. I had a comment come back on my Instagram one time that, like, we need doctors. And I was like, okay, that's not at all what I was saying. Like, of course we need doctors. Being a diabetic since I was 10, I would literally not be alive without them. Like, there is a time and place for Western medicine, and there's a time and place to make our food better. Right. And you have to find the balance between the two. And the problem with our healthcare system is this is a huge different topic, but my personal issue with our healthcare system is that we treat symptoms and we don't look for the cause. Correct. Because in my head, my theory is that if something is going wrong with your body is screaming that something is wrong, obviously. So when we treat a symptom and we treat that hypertension, but we don't change anything else, then it's going to show up somewhere else in the form of depression or acid reflux, or I'm just naming off my things, but like that kind of thing. And your body is just going to continue to scream at you that something is wrong until you figure out what it is, which is why I think we need to go back to the root cause. I would love to see Western medicine and nutrition and non-tox and all of it combine. Yeah. And I think that would be phenomenal. But I think that's still a long ways away, which is unfortunate.
Oh, it is 100% because, I don't know if you're, how I'm all politics and stuff, but big pharma,
Yeah.
So it's that's way off, and there's tons of money involved. So, it's possible. And also too, I want to add this, and doctors are not, when people say big pharma, or when people talk about the healthcare system, no one's knocking the everyday doctor. I want to add that too. That's just a side note.
Yeah.
We're knocking the people that are way up, and I'm sure the things I'm just gonna leave it at that. We're not knocking everyday doctors. Like you said, we need doctors, and I appreciate the doctors that are out there that are helping people.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah. Okay, this has been really good. This is probably the longest one. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry. something I would encourage people to do, the people that are saying like, well, I've eaten this way my entire life, my mom ate this way my entire life, is look at the difference between food in 1995, like the real difference between food in 1995 through now. 1995 is when our food started changing. And on top of that, like broccoli today is supposedly like 50% less nutritious than it was for our grandparents because we stripped our soil. And so we are not eating the same food that our grandparents ate. We're just not. And I would encourage people to research that, because you'll find a wealth of information just researching that topic. But yeah.
No, this was really good. And like, I mean, I told myself I was going to start making certain changes when I got older and like I had a house and everything, but like having this conversation, I'm like, okay, maybe I need to start doing stuff now. I mean, all I really wear is lipstick. So it's not like I do any like big makeup things and like, cleaning, we use Lysol and like all this other stuff. But now I'm going to, do some more research, I guess, and like look at that PDF. Hopefully you can find it. Yes. And then the essential oils, I'm going to look into that. Just because, and, I've said this before on a lot of my YouTube videos, and I'm going to start saying it on my podcast when I do like controversial topics, because I do consider this a controversial topic, only because it defies the norm.
Right.
And this podcast, these conversations are made for people who want to make a change, and I do a lot of the stuff I talk about, like even on my YouTube channel, Life is Mal Pal on YouTube, that is for girls like me. So I'm talking to someone who's like me. So if you hear this and you're like, I am fine, there is nothing wrong, I have been healthy like a whore and I eat cheeseburger, if you hear that and that's how you feel, if you say, I don't want to do essential oils are evil, if that's how you feel, you do you. That's between you, God, and your doctor. This is not a conversation for you. But those of us who want to make some changes in our lives, those of us who want to live a healthier life, because no matter what you say, eating cheeseburgers every day is not as healthy as eating vegetables, and you can be, not fat or whatever, but you won't be healthy. Like that's just point blank period. So, you want to start making these conversations, these tips, the PDF that I'm going to, hopefully send out, all this stuff is to be better. And if that's something you are interested in, then these conversations, this is for you. If you want to be better, if you're fine the way you are, then, more power to you. That's okay. But like, if you're saying, hey, I'm having X, Y, and Z issues and I want to do something about it, especially, I just think, this has been such a long episode, but like you've said a lot and I have a lot to say, but I just think getting off that medication, that is just like the biggest thing to me, because you just you really, I don't know, you don't want to be taking a bunch of stuff. Taking vitamins is fine, like, well, to an extent though. I heard you can overdo like vitamin C and stuff like that, so once again, talk to your doctor, figure that out. But and taking vitamins is fine, but like, medications, if you don't have to, sometimes you have to, and that is okay. There's nothing wrong with you. But if you can avoid it, it will be good to not take as much medication. And I think that's just the biggest thing out of all of it.
I had my doctor actually say to me, that he's like, okay, well, I think that the more medication you come off of, the better you'll feel. Yeah. That literally shocked me, because I was like, if he knew this all along, why have we not discussed this before? And I didn't say anything. I was in shock when he said that. So maybe I'll ask him about it next time, but I don't know. Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing, like, and then we gotta end this, but the biggest thing about what you said is like we see the commercials for medication on TV. Okay, if you take this medication, and the side effects are blah, 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 and it's like 16 other things. Yeah. And it's like, oh, you probably have to take a medication for that side effect, and that's blah, 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 blah. So it's causing all these side effects, and then you have another medication to to treat the side effects, not fix it, just to treat it, the side effects, and then that medication has so you're just taking all these things. So it makes plenty of sense that you feel a lot better when you when you get off of when you get off all those medicines. It makes plenty of sense. And I mean, that's the other thing too, like you want to feel better. Like I have eliminated some things in my diet, and I'll probably maybe do a YouTube video or an episode about just some health changes I'm making, and I do feel better. Like I feel better, I feel lighter. I remember one thing, like when I was at my worst, I was doing that stretch where you like bend down, or like you pick up your ankle and put it to the back of your thigh or whatever. And I remember like really struggling with that. And I was like, oh, Jesus, Mal, like when you were 10, you could do this, like, easily breathing. But I'm struggling now. And now I do that no problem. I always stretch after I do my walks every day. Like I'm walking. Even like simple stuff. Like I know when I was at my heaviest, like I would get my shins and my calves would burn like no other. And like I didn't necessarily have any like super big health issues, but like that's uncomfortable. And at the end of the day, you want to be your most comfortable. You want to be your most healthy. So even if you're like, if you're listening and you're like, well, I don't have hypertension, I don't have diabetes, I don't have acid reflux. Honestly, I just get super winded and my calves hurt. And another thing that I hated, and this is super embarrassing, but I can say I don't do this anymore. But at one point I had to ask for a connector on the airplane, and I don't know why that was so embarrassing. Like I almost wanted to cry, especially because she was like not discreet about it, but that's a whole nother story. But like, if you're saying all these things, well, here is some ways to fix it. Here is something that you can do to like work on that, to be the most comfortable you can be. So yeah. Thank you so much. This is really good. Really, really good.
Yeah.
Okay. So the next and the very last thing is your make it known statement. So if everyone in the world was listening to you right now, what is like one thing that you think is so important everybody should know?
I think that everybody should eat more plant food. I think that's a given, and most people realize that, but they don't do it. So eating more plant food, but also don't forget to live your life and eat that pizza if you want that pizza, but also eat an orange. Don't forget to eat your plant food, and it could literally save your life.
That was good. Well, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate this. This was such a good episode. Like I say every episode, and I'm going to say it again for this episode, I learned so much. I think everybody listening, unless you've done all this research yourself, learned something. And I really appreciate this. Thanks everybody for listening. And you can hear and I guess see me on YouTube. I'm going to be putting these on YouTube now. Some will have the picture screen and then some will just have like the logo. But I am going to start putting them on YouTube, so you'll be able to hear it on Apple, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, Google Podcasts, and a bunch of other random ones that a lot of places you might be listening to. So yeah, so once again, hear me or see me next Monday. Thanks everybody. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Make It Known with Mal podcast on YouTube. Make It Known with Mal is available on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, and so many more. And the link in the description box will be a full list of all the places you're able to listen to it. Also, if you really liked Make It Known with Mal, make sure you subscribe, rate, comment, review on all of the different platforms that you listen to it on. Thank you so much. New episodes will be available on Mondays. Bye.